New videos every day.
Someone sent me an email recently asking me if psychology is bullshit. Well, maybe it is and maybe it's not. But in this video, I'm going to attempt to answer your question, is psychology bullshit? The human mind. Everyone has one. It's there wherever you go. It's more intimately connected to you than anything else. In fact, you could consider that an individual is essentially his mind. If you want to understand yourself and other people, it only makes sense that you would need to understand something about the mind. So man has attempted to unlock the secrets of the human mind since before recorded history. So here we have this thing called the mind. And psychology, at least theoretically, attempts to understand how it works. But here's the problem with that. If you take a psychology class in college, they give you 15 different theories on the way that the mind supposedly works. And they say, here's the mind. This is the way Freud thinks it works. And this is the way Wundt thinks it works. This is the way Skinner thinks it works. This is the way Maslow thinks it works. And this is the way Ellis thinks it works. So on and so forth. So basically, you have 15 different theories trying to explain one thing. In contrast, if you were to take an auto mechanics class, you wouldn't learn 15 different theories on the way a car engine works. You would learn one. Because we know how cars work, and if they're broken, we know how to fix them. In fact, we can design and create new cars. You see, that subject's already figured out. In psychology, we don't exactly know how the mind works. And if it's broken, we can't always fix it. And despite our best efforts at artificial intelligence, we certainly can't make a mind. The subject of psychology isn't fully figured out. In psychology, you have different theories, and these theories are called schools of psychology. Now, these schools of psychology don't necessarily fit. And in fact, some of them out and out contradict each other. Now, all of these schools of psychology have some right ideas. But to be blunt, all of these schools of psychology have ideas that are just bullshit. For example, Freudian psychology emphasizes sex too much. So there is this whole group of psychiatrists who will only wear bow ties because they're stuck in this whole Freudian sexual symbolism thing. And they feel that if they wear a long necktie, it symbolizes a penis. I'm sorry. Not everything that's long symbolizes a penis. Sometimes a popsicle is just a popsicle. However, the main problem with psychology isn't that the different schools of psychology don't fit together. And the main problem with psychology isn't that the different schools of psychology have wrong ideas. But what is the main problem with psychology? Say you have 4 blind people, and they're doing a study on an elephant. And the first person stumbles upon the leg, and he feels it, and he says, oh, wow, it feels like a tree trunk. And the second person runs into the side of the elephant and he feels it and he says, oh, wow, it's flat like a wall. And the third person runs into the elephant's trunk and he feels it and he says, oh, man, it's long like a snake. And the fourth person, he runs into the tail and he feels it and he says, oh, it's skinny and long like a rope. Now, these 4 people aren't completely wrong because the leg, it does feel like a tree trunk, and the elephant's trunk, it does feel like a snake. But they certainly don't have a complete picture of the elephant. That, in essence, is the best representation of what's wrong with psychology. Each school of psychology is fixated on some small part of the picture that no one sees the full elephant. Going back to our car analogy. One school studies carburetors, and any problem with the car has to do with carburetors. And another school studies tires, and any problem that the car has, it's always a tire problem. And another school studies brakes, and anything that happens, no matter what happens to the car, it always has to do with the brakes. I'm going to clearly demonstrate this, but first, Maslow has a very famous quote, and it exemplifies this. He says, "If your only tool is a hammer, you tend to view all problems as a nail." To demonstrate this, let's look at different schools of psychology. In humanistic psychology, it concerns itself with a person's needs and life situations. It says if your needs aren't being fulfilled, you will suffer from mental health issues. For instance, if you're not able to make enough money to pay your rent, then that's going to cause you a lot of stress. Cognitive psychology deals with a person's beliefs. It believes that mental health issues stem from irrational beliefs. For example, if a person feels like they're a worthless human being, then they're probably not going to be happy. Psychoanalysis, or Freudian psychology, deals with the unconscious mind. It believes that mental health issues stem from hidden unconscious impulses. Behavioral psychology deals with modifying a person's behavior with positive and negative reinforcements. In other words, rewards and punishments. They say that if someone's too shy, that's because they have too many negative experiences having to do with people. And then we have biological psychology, or psychiatry, and they believe that all your problems stem from a chemical imbalance in your brain. If you go back to the example of the blind man and the elephant, this is what we have. All schools of psychology have some validity, but they all look at a partial picture. Yes, a person's life situation can affect their mental health, and a person's beliefs do affect their mental health, and a person's negative experiences can affect their mental health. But none of the schools of psychology take a full holistic view of a person and the human mind. Remember our quote from Maslow saying that if your only tool is a hammer, then you tend to view all problems as a nail? Well, in the case of psychiatry, their only tool is drugs, and they tend to view all problems as a chemical imbalance. It is insane to assume that all distress and psychological problems come from a chemical imbalance in the brain. For example, if a woman is in an abusive relationship, it's going to cause her some mental health issues. The solution is not to give her Prozac and leave her in the relationship. The humanistic approach of taking her out of the abusive relationship would be the best. Also, if someone has a depression because of their beliefs, drugs are not going to change their beliefs. You're going to want to use cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. In my opinion, that's what's wrong with psychology. Each school of psychology tends to take a non-holistic view of the mind. It's like if you were to take a tire and think you know everything about the car. In an upcoming video, we'll be talking about psychology and mind control. Is psychology mind control, or is it therapy? And is there a difference? And in another video, we'll be talking about World of Warcraft addiction. Why are video games so addicting? Thanks for watching! Now this video, it was a request, so if you have any requests for a video, please leave a comment and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll see you next time. If you liked this video, we have hundreds of more alternative videos ranging from sexual health to psychology to mind control. So if you liked it, go ahead and click on me to enter the Psychetruth channel.